People love vintage. Old, retro designs featuring vintage photos, illustrations, and images. These can be lucrative niches in both the print-on-demand world and also digital designs. Now, what's better than vintage? How about vintage Hollywood? So in this video, I do a walkthrough on where you can find tens of thousands of vintage Hollywood images. These are high-quality scans of Hollywood actors and actresses, marketing posters, advertisements, and lots of cool pictures. And best of all, these are all in the public domain, which means there's no copyright restrictions. So let's take a look at some vintage Hollywood treasures. All right, let's jump in and have some fun with vintage Hollywood. Now, I'm on an internet site here called the Internet Archive. It's archive.org. I do want to point out not everything on this website is public domain. So if you do see something, just be aware you need to check the copyright status on it. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. This is the actual magazine. It's called Silver Screen. And as you can see, there's a lot of really cool black and white photos, plus there's the occasional color photos in here. And there's news articles, magazine articles, and there's lots and lots of things to see, including old vintage advertisements. So I'm going to pop open just this picture here. I'm just going to click on it, and as you can see here, this is the actual scan. Okay, so some of the scans are a bit cut off, but if you're looking for the actual image, you can see it's a pretty high quality image. It's a Library of Congress dated June 11th, 1940. You could obviously use Photoshop or Affinity Photo, and you could get rid of that. You could airbrush that out. This is Loretta Young. Stay away from Hollywood girls. Why Betty Davis will never marry an actor. As you can see, this is a pretty cool little magazine here called Silver Screen, and this is from June through October 1940. Now, as I scroll on down, I'm going to see that there is a copyright identifier on here. And to find the copyright identifier, I'm just going to go right down here to where it says Show More, and that's going to pop open some more text, and we can see here possible copyright status. The Library of Congress has determined that this item is not in copyright. Now, I do want to point out that you do need to be careful, though, when you're using old magazines, because what might happen is, and I'm just going to click on this one here, the most beautiful fingernails in the world. If Duragloss is an existing company, then they may have a trademark. So you wouldn't want to use this for artwork if it includes trademarked items. However, the actual images here of old actors, these are basically public domain. So we've got like Greta Garbo and Clark Gable and things like Lillian Russell. So what I would recommend are two things. One, you could use the designs as is. So you could just use this. This is just a nice high quality scan of a production that's coming up. Back in the olden days, here's the songs, and you could just clean up this and you could sell it as a print. Or you could take this image as, you know, as it is here cut out, and you could put it on a t-shirt, you could use it as digital art, you could sell it as some sort of crafting tool if somebody wanted a visual representation of vintage old Hollywood. And you can see here there's a whole bunch of different digital scans as early as May 1937 all the way up through May through October of 1942. So I'm going to click on this one. It just opens it up in a viewer. And then what you can do here with the viewer is you can scroll. So you can go right back to the beginning. So this is the first piece of hardbound, and I'll just click on the little page forward. So now it's page 2 of 532. And yes, you read that correctly, 532 pages in each of these volumes. So here's Screenland. These are like hardbound editions of old magazines. So here's an Abbott and Costello, for example, poster, Rio Rita, and you can see here who it stars. You could just crop this out, remove the Screenland down at the bottom. You could sell this as a vintage Hollywood poster. There's lots of little tiny icons in here as well, little tiny pictures you could use. Now you can change the view as well. This is a single page view. You can see that. Just rescans it kind of thing, shows it in a high quality scan. There's a double right here on the bottom right. That'll show 2 pages. You can also see a larger array. So I highly recommend taking a look through here. There's all sorts of weird, wild, wonderful stuff. There's these vintagey looking pictures here. You could remove, for example, the actual text underneath, and you could just have this as a picture. You could even put a sepia filter on it and you could make it look pretty spectacular. It doesn't need to have any names attached to it. Scrolling on down, you can see we've got ladies wearing bikinis and we've got army people. We've got lots of Hollywood actors and actresses, a lot of pencil mustaches I'm noticing as well. And then we've got a lot of these basically 2-page spreads. So this is like the olden time magazine where people would read about Hollywood in all of its glory. Here's a great example of where you could use an image out of context. So this says, off to work we go, and we've got 4 women. We've got like a lady wearing overalls, a nurse. We've got like pilots, that sort of thing. And so there's these uniforms, right? So you could just take this and you could make this into a sticker. You could make this into a t-shirt design, or you could just sell this as a vector if somebody wanted a vintage image. Here's another one that you could use. On the left-hand side here, there's a lady with some pantyhose. It says, pour yourself a pair of stockings with Miner's liquid makeup. You could basically recreate this ad and you could run it on a t-shirt or a fine art print. Even if this was, say, this company still existed, because it says your copyright 1942 Miners Inc., you could change the bottom of it here. You could take the image, say, pour yourself a pair of stockings, and that would be it. You wouldn't need to have any actual branding. You could remove all the text underneath it. Another popular genre is World War II and World War II related items. So this here says buy United States savings bonds. There's a lady here with Chesterfield cigarettes, which is a little odd, but she's sitting on a motorcycle. So this would be something, again, where you could make this into a World War II vintage advertisement design, and that's a really popular genre as well. Okay, so if you're into vintage designs, this hopefully fits the bill. Thanks a lot for watching. There's just a ton of illustrations, tens of thousands of these illustrations. Some are black and white, some are sepia, and some are color. Again, I'll put the link to this in the video description below. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I have spent hours looking through these magazines. The articles are great too. And of course, there's lots of cool vintage items that can make a great looking digital design or print on demand design. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Take care.